Hi all and welcome back. So this is the first of our exercises where we're going to be practicing drawing our truncated or our cut cylinders. So the first example we're going to do is going to be kind of a combination where we have a cylinder being both added to a sloped line and it's going to also be removed or cut away from a sloped wedge here like so. So looking at our object, the example we have is a golf putting trainer. So you have to get the golf ball into the little area here, and this is your little display area here. But looking at the shape, we can see we have our wedge shape here, and then we have this cylinder or semi-cylinder, so half a cylinder here of radius 40, which is going to be added to it. And then we have a similar radius 40 or diameter 80 cylinder been removed away from here. And you'll see here it'll be the same method that we'll use to locate our common or interpenetrating line here between for whether it's been added or whether it's been removed away from our kind of our solid. So we'll begin by just taking a quick look at say our 3D here and saying, well, what are our profiles and which views are we going to actually draw? So looking at the views we need our front elevation there like that, we need our plan view, and we need our end view here looking in from the left, so it's going to appear on the right hand side. And there's our little plan out that we've done. So A, B like that, front elevation plan, and then looking in from the left, our screen is going to be on the right hand side of our object, so our end view is going to appear here on the right hand side. And this is what we have set up here. So looking at our object, the profiles that we have are the profile for our cylinders here, both of which are seen when looking from above. When we look from above, we see the true curve of this actual cylinder here and this cylindrical part removed away here. So from above, our plan view is going to be the profile view of that. So that tells me that the plan view is one of the first views I'm going to want to draw. Likewise, our second profile is this wedge shape here. And where we'll see the wedge is looking in from the side. So that says that the plan view and the end view are my two profile views. So I'm going to begin setting up my XY line, and then I just draw my YY line. I like to do these things before I even start, just so that I know kind of how everything is going to tie together. And I have my little planning here done, so I know which views I'm going to be filling in. So I'm going to start off by drawing in the wedge. So using the heights that we have in our question, you can see up 60, and I'm going to draw out my distance there, drawing in my wedge. I'm going to then draw in my height for my cylinder bin added to it like so, and I'm going to then just transfer that down into my plan view. So my plan view is my second view that I'm going to draw here. We'll worry about, there is a hidden line here for our part been taken away, but we'll worry about him in a second. So to make sure my plan view and my end view tie together, I draw my 45-degree line where my YY line here crosses my XY line. That represents basically the YY line is this edge here, and the XY line is our ground here, hinge line here between our vertical and horizontal plane. So the back of our object sets up the position for the back of our object in our plan view, and I'm just putting in the width of my object using my dimensions. Same way the front is located by just taking it down and across, and there is my wedge. And you can see in this view here, for the wedge, all we would see is a rectangle. So that's why this isn't the profile view for our wedge. This is the profile view because it's a triangular wedge. This is the view we see it as a triangle. We can then add our two cylinders. So they're just going to appear as two semicircles. So there we are from the center point there, we just get the front one, and then from the top here, we draw in our top cylinder bin added to it. And there is the profile of our cylinder bin removed and our cylinder bin added. So with that then we have essentially all our profiles drawn in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my technique that we've seen in our worked example. I'm going to break up each of my shapes here into a number of equal parts using our 60-30 set square. So because we're dealing with semicircles here, we're going to have 6 equal parts. So we number them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sorry, 7 parts there. The 60-30 means that the spacing here is going to be nice and even, so it'll be a nice even curve. And I can do the same here with the top. And just to kind of make things a little bit easier for myself, I've numbered these ones with red dots and I've numbered these ones here with green dots. But if you wanted to use a different numbering system, if you wanted to start here at 8, 9, 10, that's perfectly grand. Just as long as you can identify them from each of your views. So I've labeled up my points in my profile views in my plan. Now what I want to do is I want to find those points on my wedge. So there's point number 4, which gives me my cut line there. That's the point there where we can see our kind of scoop is the very end of our scoop, giving us point number 4. There's 3 and 5, again 3 being in front of 5, and so on and so forth. 6 and 2, 1 and 7. So there are our points on the wedge. Because like the curve we're trying to find is basically where our circular cut meets the top of the wedge. So now we have our points in our circular cut. Now we have the point where they meet the top of the wedge. Same thing applies with our kind of added solid. So taken across and up. So now we have them in our circular cut, and now we have them on the wedge. What we're looking for is the interaction between the circle and the wedge. So now when I bring them together, so across and up, I'll be able to take 0.7, and there he is taken up there like that. Sorry, it's 7 and 1. So there's our 2 points. So there's number 1 on the left and 7 on the right. So 1 and 7. And then we do the same then for the remaining points. So if you look at, say, point number 2 and 6, so there's 2 and 6 on my green ones, the top one, and 2 and 6 on the bottom. And then we do the same with 3 and 5. So there's 3 and 5 and the one being added, and the one taken away. And then lastly then 4, and 4 comes across, and 4 comes across there from the bottom one. And then we just simply freehand sketch, joining up the curves, and there's our semi-ellipse there on the bottom one, and there's our semi-ellipse on the top one, and that is our plan, elevation, end view, then completed for our interacting solids. And you can see it doesn't matter if the profile has been removed or added, it's the same approach, the same method as we saw there. And again, that method is we identify the profiles, we identify which views we see them in, we draw those views first, label the points, and then bring it all together. So hopefully now, with this as our first exercise, that'll kind of hopefully make a bit of sense. And really the next exercise we're going to do are just going to be kind of really practicing that and putting that into action. So, okay, I mean, we'll see you, I suppose, in the next video.